Soul in Balance. My name is Alesha and I'll be bringing you a report on the new moon in Virgo that'll be happening on the 10th of September at 4:01 a.m. Now this new moon is going to be a little bit mystical, a little bit practical, and all about moving forward. So stay tuned and I'll bring you the report. Okay, new moon in Virgo. Like all new moons, the sun and the moon are together and they are at 17 degrees of Virgo. Now, what does Virgo mean? Virgo is like detoxing. It's putting things into categories, analyzing what's going on, getting rid of what we don't need in our life anymore, using discernment, and you know what I mean, moving forward and being of service to others. So at this time, it really is a great time to declutter and use detox programs for your health, or get rid of circumstances or toxic situations from your life that no longer serve you. Maybe during the eclipse season and during all those retrograde planets, maybe you've made a lot of discoveries about your life and what's not working for you. So at this time is a great time to set those intentions. And as Saturn is going direct now, will be as of the 6th of September, it'll be really a great time to put those new intentions and those new ideas for yourself in motion. So at this time, we're also going to be needing to look at the polarity point, and that the polarity point is Neptune in Pisces. Now this can be the very mystical aspect, and what we're needing to do is bring about a little bit of balance here, as Neptune in Pisces kind of wants to escape, has no boundaries, has rose-colored glasses on and just wants to see love and peace in everything. And sometimes it could be things like substance abuse, just wanting to detach and get away, like it's just too much to deal with right now. But like I said in my last video, it's really important that we start moving forward. The universe doesn't give it to us any easier as we go along. So at this time with the new moon in Virgo, it really is a great time just to start that structure, especially because Saturn's moving forward, Mars is moving forward now, so we can just start moving in the direction that we want to go, and with more ease. And we've got a full support there with another grand earth trine, with that stability and feeling the earth. And it's a great time to be present within yourself and be 100% in yourself and honoring yourself as well. So the picture that I just showed is of the Lady Buddha that's in Da Nang in Vietnam, where I am right now. And I feel that it is such a great representation of what's going on at this new moon. So the Lady Buddha, she looks over the ocean and, makes sure everyone's safe, and, collects wisdom from the sea. And I feel like that this represents this new moon at this time, with Virgo being the weak maiden and looking out to Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, and gathering the wisdom and the knowledge that comes from Pisces, that comes from Neptune. And I feel like at this time, if we integrate that into our experience and what we're wanting to do moving forward, that would be a really great idea. It could be some sense of spirituality or connection that you have, that you've discovered over the last few months. It could be some emotions that have come up and that you've finally found out how things have been affecting you, and what you need to do now moving forward and be your own kind of emotional self-reliance. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that if we kind of take a position of that Lady Buddha, being in our power, being of strength, being of service, and watching over our emotions, watching over the wisdom that's coming in and flowing to us. So yes, if you can incorporate that into your life, that would be absolutely amazing at this time. So let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is finally going forward on the 6th of September. So it will be stationed to go direct. So we will be feeling a bit more of an amplifying feeling of pressure, where we've been restricting ourselves, where we've kind of been putting ourselves in like a cage or putting walls around ourselves that we need to kind of mentally break through. And I personally felt this on my trip in Vietnam, where things weren't going right and I was having all these blocks come up, and I realized they were kind of more in my head than what was going on externally. Like, do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's what's playing out as well, as we're having to just find our inner strength, our inner emotional support, and then break free from our own restrictions. And, you know, as Saturn moves forward at this new moon, we're going to just be, you know, plowing forward in what we're wanting to do if we can get out of our own restrictions. So at this time, think about where you're restricting yourself. It could even be work restrictions, it could be, you know, any kind of restrictions in life, it could be with relationships, anything like that. Have a think about, are they more restrictions that you've kind of put on yourself, that you think that the other person is restricting you, or you think these circumstances are restricting you? So, you know, look for ways where you can just break free, because with Saturn, Saturn is like the taskmaster. So if you can break free in a, you know, like in a respectful, in a state of wisdom, in a state of, you know, learning your lessons and understanding from a higher perspective, Saturn will help you move forward. So yes, at this time, you know, think about how you can move forward and break free from any kind of restrictions that you've felt, especially over the last 4 months, because Saturn has been retrograde for 4 months, and it's been going internally, breaking down external structures, throwing off internal and external structures. So yes, we can move forward now. So whatever ideas you've got going on, whatever commitments that you've got, you will find there's a bit more ease now, because you've learnt that lesson. Saturn really tests us to see if it's what you really want, because during that retrograde phase, if it's not what you really want, if you're just doing it for the wrong reasons, you just give up and stop doing it. So yes, think about what you're really committed to, what you really want, what has still been a passion, what you've still wanted throughout this 4 months, but you felt like has been blocked. So if you can move forward now, you're going to have a lot of motion and structure supporting you moving in that direction. So we've got a pretty cool party of aspects going on at this new moon. So we've got a grand Earth trine. So we had a grand Earth trine at the full moon, but we've got another one. So instead of the Sun in Virgo, it's going to be Mercury in Virgo. We've also got a grand fixed cross, and we've also got 2 T-squares. So yes, that is a lot of aspects. So I'll go through what it all means. So I feel like this aspect is going to be all about relationships and how we're relating to others, especially in intimate situations. So we've got Venus, who's in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio, she likes the intensity. She wants to dive deep. She wants to dive deep into herself, dive deep into somebody. She doesn't want what's fake, someone who wears a mask. She wants what's real. And, you know, that's going out to Mars, who's now going direct, who's, you know, gone through a stage of learning heaps of lessons. So the masculine has gone through a process where they've had to, you know, heal what's inside and, you know, throw off the old patriarchy, throw off the old masculine that wasn't thinking from a heart space. And if Mars, or if a male partner, or, you know, if you identify more with the masculine, if the masculine has identified where they need to heal, where they need to transform, this can be a very connecting time. So if you've, you know, felt a bit distant from your partner, over the last few months. This is a very great time for coming together and having those intimate connections, because Venus likes to, yes, dive deep in Scorpio and connect and heal and, you know, transform. It's a bit of a death and rebirth process even. So if you can go through that, that's a fantastic, you know, aspect to be having with your partner. But also it's going to be really intense, because the square from Mars and Venus is about intensity and, you know, like tension. So if you can work through the tension, if, you know, both partners have, you know, are in their divine masculine and feminine, you know, this can work as an advantage. It can be, you know, a point where you push your relationship to the next level. But if you're dealing with, you know, maybe one partner's more enlightened than the other and the other really doesn't want to learn any lessons, it's going to just be, yeah, a push-pull dynamic where you just really want to be so close to each other, but at the same time completely repelled. So yes, it is a bit of an interesting aspect, and that's also going out to the North Node, which is a collective direction, which means it's what we need to be doing as a society. We really need to be relating to other people better. We need to be, you know, coming together in relationships in a better way, a genuine way, not these surface mask relationships that aren't serving anyone. We're not here on this planet to just, you know, fluff around, and, you know, there actually is some work to do. And, you know, what's amazing about that is that the further you dive deep into your stuff, the more that you can connect with other people and, you know, be enlightened and learn your lessons, the more magical your journey is going to be. And, you know, we've got that making aspects out to Uranus. So Uranus is the planet of like radical change, disruption, and I feel like if you're in a relationship and that relationship isn't serving you, you're not coming together in a really deep, intimate and healing way where you're being enlightened by each other, I feel like that this you know, Uranus aspect could just be just a radical disruption and even an ending of relationships. And I do feel like after the Venus retrograde that we're going to be having soon, if we are in any intimate relationships, we are going to see if they do last that test, because yeah, it's going to be quite an intense aspect going on there. So I just feel like if we all work together, if you're in a relationship where, you know, both of you are working on yourselves, this aspect could really be that great push forward where you're more connected, where you have, you know, these magical spiritual journeys, or, you know, where you just, you know, come together in such a fashion where it's so healing for both of you. So, you know, look, it can go either way at this time. It really depends on the individual, but just keep in mind, for relationships, it's going to be very, very, very intense. And we are, like, the new moon is about detoxing and getting rid of what doesn't work anymore. So if this relationship isn't serving you, it will be very clear very soon. And the best thing you can do for yourself and the other person is to just completely let it go and move forward in a new direction, because we have Saturn moving forward, this new moon in Virgo and the grand earth trine. It's all about being present and moving forward in the direction that is serving us, where we are of value. You need to be with somebody who values you. When you value yourself, being in relationship dynamics that are just toxic relationships just aren't serving us anymore. It's, you know, this collective past stuff that's all coming to the surface, and I feel like that's what Venus in Scorpio is bringing about, especially with this retrograde. We could be seeing, you know, like old dynamics, you know, from our past relationships being brought up, so they have their just final, nah, I just don't want this type of relationship in my life. Also with the Venus retrograde, and even around about this time, we could be seeing really karmic relationships come into our lives. So when Venus goes retrograde, yeah, that's when situations come about just for healing, and literally these relationships or, you know, intimate connections could just literally last for the retrograde, and then after the retrograde you'll know that, whoa, I learned this massive lesson from this person who just blew in and then blew out. But yes, so if you're in a relationship, you know, be aware that it is a really intense time and it's a massive time for healing. Or if you're in an intense relationship as well, it's a great time for coming together and having fantastic sexual experiences, passionate experiences where you're so connected to the other person, you know, being so deep with one another and understanding, you know, what it's like to be that enlightened, connected being to somebody else. So there's a topic that I quickly want to mention for the masculine, or for those who identify with the masculine. We've got Mars rejoining Black Moon Lilith, and Mars did that back probably a month ago, and there was a lot of disruption. So as I said just before, Mars has been going through a lot of lessons, throwing off a lot of the patriarchy. The old way masculine has just been taking and not thinking of the other, and coming from a broken place, coming from a place that wasn't nurtured and not nurturing themselves or other people, and you know, then facing Black Moon Lilith, and you know, a lot of masculine or men or people would have had circumstances where this woman kind of identifying with the goddess Kali just coming in and just being like, no, I don't want to be treated this way anymore, you know, not even doing it in a very healthy fashion or a way to work things out. It would have just been from a radical place of, no, you need to learn this lesson, and just causing striking events. Now Mars is going direct and going to be meeting with Kali again, and that is going to be going out to Uranus. So I was thinking it wasn't going to play out as bad as what it did with the retrograde meeting Black Moon Lilith, but with Uranus in the picture as well, I'm feeling like if the masculine, or if you identify with the masculine, if you haven't learnt those lessons that have been coming up for you the last few months, you're going to get maybe something even more radical thrown in your face. So have a think about what lessons came up for you during this time. Has it got to do with the feminine? Has it got to do with, you know, how you operate sexually? Has it got to do with, you know, how you treat others? Have you been coming from a place of love, a place where you are treating others with respect in the divine masculine? So have a think about what lessons have come up for you, and as you move forward now, how can you implement those lessons that you've learned in your life? How can you come from a place of love? Because as this aspect goes out, it could create even more of this bigger situation for you. And hey, it might even create another situation like this. But with the lessons that you've learned and your understanding on this, you know, it could really push you into a really great situation where, you know, it has a great resolution and, you know, the people involved come together in such a great way. Or it could be just a radical explosion. It really does depend on the individual and what lessons have been learnt throughout this time, and especially making aspects out to Venus that's about to go retrograde, that just wants to dive deep, that wants to have that deep connection with someone, and doesn't want this mask or this falseness, just wants real deep connection. You know, there's a possibility for that to also come about as well once those lessons have been learnt. So, you know, for the masculine, your tests aren't over yet. So yes, pay attention to that aspect going on, you know, in the next couple of weeks, what dynamics play out with maybe a woman in your life. It could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your partner, it could be somebody at work. So yes, pay attention. Okay, so at this new moon in Virgo, let's go over the important stuff. So at this time, realize the wisdom and mystical information that's come through to you over this time, the emotions over the last few months that have come to the surface, that have given us the amazing revelations of where we need to be present for ourselves and in our own lives, and move forward in a direction that is serving us. Let go of the mental blocks in our mind, and just move forward. No matter what comes up, just keep going forward. And if you're committed to something, if you really want something and you haven't been able to let go of it over the last 4 months, this is a time to move forward and go get that. It could be in your work, it could be what goals and your career motivations are, and you felt blocked over the last few months. It could be a relationship that wasn't working. There was just so many blocks and restrictions, and now it's time to move forward in that relationship, especially with the intensity and connection that's going on there with Mars and Venus right now. And also, just moving forward in what you would like to do in your own life as an enlightened being, what you've learned and how that's made you more of a value to yourself. Be your own value, be your own emotional self-reliance, and put everything in order. Move forward in a way where you're doing your to-do list, all the things that you've wanted to do, and be organized, because Virgo is organized. Organize what you'd like to do, for the next month, or whether it's for the rest of the year. Plan that trip somewhere, or set that goal for work, or buy that new home, or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. Categorize everything, put it in order, and detox. It's a really great time to get rid of the things that no longer serve you, and that could be people, that can be situations, that could be what you're eating, because what you're eating determines how you're feeling mentally, emotionally, and even within your whole being. So it could be a massive detox and overhaul of what you've been eating as well. So at this time, it's a great time to move forward. So yes, I hope that this video makes sense. I've got a bit of a Neptune holiday brain right now, so yes. All in all, I hope everybody has a magical new moon in Virgo, and many soul journey blessings.